Wow, big shoes to fill. You bigged me up pretty well there. Thank you, Tobias. So guys, hello and welcome. My name is Peter. As you guys see, you have some worksheets in front of you. So the first thing I'm going to signal is don't get scared. This is a safe environment, and these worksheets, I think, are going to help you guys the way you look at branding from a performance mindset. And the first thing I want to do with you guys is I want to play a game. Because I love games, and I'm conscious that it's about 4 o'clock right now, and some of you might have been up since 4 a.m., like Neil and I, to make it here. So I want to spike your energy levels so that you guys can make it through my session and for the rest of the day, and you can enjoy that Guinness that Ronan's promised you. And by the way, run a nice tab on Ronan's credit card. He loves that, and you can tell him I said that. So guys, what I want you to do is please put down all of your laptops, your coffees, your pens, your papers, all of your stuff, and just put it down in front of you if you can. This Energizer is really fun. It's one of my favorites, and I do it a lot with big crowds, so a big crowd just like you guys. And this Energizer, or icebreaker, whatever you want to call it, it's called Big Bear, Little Bear. So what I need you guys to do is I need you to stand up. I hear some moaning already. Don't worry, it's fun. It's going to be good for you. All right, so in a moment, what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to turn and face on either side of you a partner. And I need you to buddy up with this partner. If you don't know the person on either side of you, say hello. If you're French, give them the double kiss on the cheek. If you're Dutch, give them the triple kiss. And if you're English, give them the hug, whatever. So say hello, find a partner. I see headbutting going on. And what you're going to be doing for this Energizer is you're going to show your partner your best example of what a big bear and a little bear looks like. And throughout this exercise, I'm going to throw in some additions just to spice it up. So keep listening for different prompts on how to change your bear. So I'll show you how this looks like. So if I yell out big bear, this is my best big bear. Rah! Right? And if I yell out little bear, this is my best little bear. Me, 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 me. Right? So does that make sense? So when I say go, I want you to turn to your partner and wait for my signal and do one of the two actions. Are you ready? All right, turn to your partner. Find a partner, first of all. Okay. Okay, are you guys ready? All right, you need to hear the prompt, so please be attentive here. All right, here we go. Big bear. Big bear. Little bear. Angry bear. Sad bear. Grumpy bear. Grumpy bear. Annoyed bear. Big bear. Fashion bear. Fashionable bear. Sexy bear. Little bear. And big bear. All right, round of applause. That was fun, wasn't it? This lady right here is literally crying. I'm not joking you. She's literally in stitches. So guys, let me explain. So why do I do these Energizers? It's for two main purposes, and this is one of the things I love to do with big groups. The first thing is it's just a bit of fun. You know, everybody just engage with that a little bit more. Number two reason is it's a mental primer. So we had a break. You guys are probably sleep deprived. You're maybe a little bit tired. So it allows you to really focus on me. It allows you to absorb the information I'm about to tell you so that it sinks into your brains, because I think I have some juicy stuff to share with you. So that's why I do these Energizers. But first, I want to tell you why I'm really happy to be here with you guys today. I used to live actually right here in Dublin, and this is where I started my Google career, right here in this office in Gordon House. It's been 2.5 years since I've lived in Dublin, and I can tell you my liver is still cleansing from all that Guinness and Heineken that I drank here. I had some really good times. You guys are in for a treat tonight, I promise you. So enjoy that experience. The second reason why I'm super happy to be here with you guys today is I genuinely think you guys, performance advertisers, are what's going to shape the future of branding, digital branding. So there's a lot of opportunity for you guys to really step in and just nail this space. The only thing I see when I speak to performance advertisers is they're too scared. You guys always have an excuse. No offense. It's always, we don't have the budget, we don't have the resources, this isn't what we do. In a branding space, if I had that conversation with a branding client, they might say something different, like, I have an idea for you, Mr. Advertiser, try this. They might say, that's not on brand. So you both have your challenges. So you need to do something. You can't just sit back. And today, I think I'm going to share with you guys some stuff that'll hopefully show and prove to you that you have a value in the branding space and you should be doing something about it. And first thing I need to do is I need to address the elephant in the room. You guys are performance advertisers. I am clearly a crazy branding guy standing up here making you do Big Bear, Little Bear. So I want to clear the air, and I want to make sure that you guys are comfortable when I say the word branding. Because I'm not asking you guys to create the next Jean-Claude Van Damme epic split video. That's not what I'm standing up here to do. Although some of you probably want to do that. That sounds pretty fun. And that's what I get to do sometimes, so I think that's why one of the reasons I have an amazing job. But that's not what we're here to do and here to talk to you about today. I'm also not interested in telling you guys to invest, 30% or 50% of your budgets, whatever, X million of pounds, to developing one specific creative that you can push out to the mass markets and get a viral video or win a Cannes Lion Award. Let's debunk this whole idea of what branding is, and I'm going to talk to you guys from a performance standpoint. Okay? I want to share with you now my definition of what I think digital branding is. I'll give you guys 2 seconds to read this quote. So digital branding, in my own words, is being able to have unique conversations with unique people by inviting them to engage. This is the only way you're really going to earn their love as a brand. And the key thing I highlight is inviting them to engage. So you guys just heard from Jeanette, you heard earlier from Neil. You guys have heard a lot of stuff already on what you should be doing in terms of how do you optimize your mobile site. How do you start segmenting your audience? How do you set up your remarketing list? All this kind of stuff, which is exactly what performance advertisers do extremely well. What you need to start thinking about and focusing on is what's the invitation to engage that you guys want to propose to your potential customers. And at the last of Jeanette's slide, she said you need to go more upper funnel. So I'm not telling you guys here to segment your audience and serve an ad saying, hey, I know you're into fashion, you might be into dresses, you might be into this black dress, buy now. I'm talking about how can you guys, get into a conversation with them, and once you put up your hand and say, hey, I want to tell you something, and your audience puts up their hand and says, okay, I buy that, I want to learn more. What's your story after that conversation? Because you can't be so naive to think that people go on the internet and just give you, an advertiser, the opportunity to sell them a product. That's not how we use the internet. And you guys know that. When you go home after work, you don't go on the internet, open up your laptop and say, all right, Nike, sell me a pair of shoes. This is what I want to do for the next hour of my life. So what I want to get across as well is to make super clear is, I say this very, very loosely, so take this with a grain of salt. Most branding advertisers that I've worked with, they don't listen. And what I mean by that is they don't listen to the way the conversations are happening about big campaigns that they launched. If you think about the amount of time and investment a brand advertiser puts into building an epic split Volvo, Van Damme, or Dove beauty sketches, etc., it's an excruciating amount of time, energy, and effort, which, by the way, is amazing effort. They're very talented, but you get the sense here is you can't actually engage in real time after you've launched that campaign. You might have to wait 6 months to a year to launch the follow-up to it, and you guys have probably seen that. That's very clear. That's why I think you guys being able to adapt and have these conversations in the milliseconds when a search is happening, you guys are already primed and you're already ready to have these conversations. You're just not doing it as well as I like to see. And that's where I want to challenge you guys today, and that's why I gave you those worksheets so you guys can have a mental framework to take back with you guys to your business. Another thing I want to point out is think about how users use the web today. How many of you guys use a social network? Just put up your hand. I'd argue like 98, 95% maybe of the population use some sort of social network. We've been accustomed and adapted to have a certain conversation style with our peers, our family, even brands. So people these days, they expect to have these two-way conversations. And they expect the conversation like in, I think it was Neil's presentation when he used the desktop to mobile. They expect that conversation to be fluid. So it's extremely silly if you serve an ad and you say, buy these shoes, and a week later you serve the same ad, which happens very often in performance, and it's still saying, buy these shoes. That advertiser could be saying, you already told me this, I wasn't engaged in your invitation, tell me something new. What does that look like? So you guys just need to structure, what is that sequential storytelling? And I think you guys will nail this, because those brand advertisers, they have other agendas. They're just pushing to the masses, which again is totally relevant for their space. But think about, what works for you. And I already said this quote, but I think it's a good one. It's my favorite one. I made it up, so it's by me. So again, you can't be naive to think that they're just going to give you the right to sell you an ad. So again, think about the ads that you're serving on the GDN. Are you using TrueView? Actually, how many of you guys use TrueView here? I'm just curious from a performance standpoint. Excellent. Have you guys seen the Gumtree case study and read the recent one? How many hands up if you have? If you haven't, reach out to your Google counterparts. Gumtree was getting a 1 cent CPV, and they were driving, I can't remember the click out, but it was huge to the website, and same thing with Reed. They did a tremendous job using TrueView for performance. But what I want to say here is, even your messages that you probably have today, is it still saying, buy me, buy me, buy me? Start thinking a little bit upper funnel, and I'm going to show you guys, without getting you out of your comfort zone of your performance hats, how you can do that and how a message could somewhat fill upper funnel, but not be so far out there in terms of the bigger branding guys and where they play. I think somebody asked this earlier in the days, how many of you guys showed up last year to this event, and I think it was not that many of you. So I think it's worthwhile that I just quickly recap what we did last year. So if you came to the Retail at Google event last year, you would have saw this narrative, which is called A Better Way to Building Brands. So when I educate my customers across the nation, so I cover all of North and Central Europe, sometimes the clients, they come to me and say, with all these different technologies, all these different tools, and all these different platforms and devices, how am I supposed to build a brand online? This is what I tell them. You need to find the right people, you need to tell them a great story, and you need to build a relationship over time. It's very similar to what you guys are accustomed to: collect, segment, engage. How many of you guys have heard that narrative from Google? Collect, segment, engage. Okay, not that many. So reach out to your Google counterparts. Please get that chat. It is fundamentally important for you guys to be successful if you want to fill your upper funnel and not play so far out into the branding space. So that's a quick recap. So if that is the what, so if that's what you need to do to build an effective brand online, I want to show you guys today the how. So how are you guys going to actually take those principles from finding the right people, telling them great stories, and building a relationship over time, and how are you going to apply it to your day-to-day? That's what the worksheets are going to be for. And another reason why I did that Energizer is because this next 15 or 10 minutes of this presentation is going to be all interactive. So those Energizers really get people loosened up. So I'm going to be calling out on a couple of you guys to help me out with this. And I have lots of Google swag under here, so I'm going to be giving out a lot of free stuff. People love free stuff, right? Yeah? So that's what we're going to do. So hopefully this is going to be of value, because one of the feedbacks we got from last year's session is we talked too much about the what. And I think that's a valid piece of feedback. Google oftentimes does a great job saying, this is what you need to do, but we don't show you actually how to do that. So today we're going to show you how to do that, and I hope this is valuable. So I'm going to, Tobias, if you can come up, you're going to be my sexy assistant. Woo! Give him a round of applause. So as Tobias mentioned, it is true. As weird as it sounds, I have a sock business. It's really weird. And this, oh, actually, no, before I do that, I have a video. Excuse me. I totally forgot about this. Before I show you, and before we get into the actual exercise, I want to show you guys what good looks like. So you might still be a little bit skeptical and saying, yeah, okay, this all makes sense. It's all fine and dandy. We're still in the performance space. We don't have big budgets to actually engage on these kind of upper funnel levels. So I'm going to share with you this case study, which is pretty self-explanatory. They took a very performance approach, and the results, I think, are spectacular. So guys, Robin, Connor, if you can roll the video, that'd be great.
Summer comes, winter fades. Here we are, just the same. Don't need pressure, don't need change. There's no gift game away. There used to be an empty space, a photograph without a face. But with your presence and your grace, everything falls into place. So please don't say you love me, 'cause I might not say it back. Doesn't mean my heart stops skipping.
So what do you think? Pretty good example, right? There's a couple of things I love about that. The first thing is they just didn't overcomplicate it. Keep in mind the end game here for Gabby Alpin was to sell her CD on iTunes. #1 game. The only problem was she was known for that song from the John Lewis commercial last year at Christmas time, which was super successful. So she had to kind of re-engage again with her customers to get them to buy the albums. So she wanted them to discover the music. So very quickly, the things I love about this case study, #1 is she kept it simple, or they kept it simple. They used warm and hot leads. You're going to see that more and more times than none, you're going to have thousands, if not millions of signals to use to segment your audience. When you start trying something for branding, just keep it simple. Try this approach. Start thinking, what signals do I want to target for warm leads, and what signals do I want to target for hot leads? And then essentially start thinking, if they are a warm lead, what type of content can I serve them? And again, I'm not telling you guys to build a video or a new crazy campaign. Just use content that you have, but make it fit for purpose for that conversation. Also do the same for hot leads. Once you extend that invite to engage, you need to follow that conversation. So it needs to be a back and forth, because remember, that's what people expect of you guys, even if you're a performance retailer as a brand. My favorite example is Topshop. I won't go into more detail, but they do a lot of really, really cool stuff. So before I go into the exercise, sorry, I know I got you standing here looking pretty. I want to quickly show you guys, or I want to tell you 3 ways which I think are the best ways to collect signals when you're doing branding. Again, this isn't nothing new for you guys. I'm not trying to teach you guys to suck eggs. You guys are performance guys. You get this model. But the 3 things in collecting is you can collect data, so historical signals. So what CRM signals do you right now have at your exposure? If you don't know, speak to your IT guys. What signals can they start offering you from your CRM backend? What type of social signals like clicks, comments, shares, likes, all that kind of stuff? These are historical kind of data that you can do right now. The second type of signal you can collect for branding that you can do as performance advertisers is context. So winning moments that matter was one of Jeanette's themes. So how can you think about your customers? You can't be so naive to think that they use the internet just to buy your products every time they open their laptop. They're doing other things. Maybe they're researching the next holiday. Maybe they're going, looking for a gig to supplement their music library. I don't know. We need to figure out what that opportunity is or that special moment, and you need to start thinking, what are the potential signals I can pick up there so I can reuse those and tell them a message. And the last one is choice. Google has 2 fundamentally amazing products to give you the ability to develop choice signals. What I mean by that is TrueView skip ads and GDN engagement ads. If you show somebody a TrueView ad and they skip it, that basically tells you they're not interested. Maybe you develop some sort of other ad format to re-engage with them. If they engage with your ad and they watch the entire thing, that's an amazing signal. What are you going to do with that signal? How can you use that to your benefit? That's what this Parlophone and that's what Gabby Alpin, that's what they did in their example. And they kept it native. Another thing I love about that is she was known to converse with her her fans on YouTube. They knew and loved her by interacting through videos and commenting and liking and sharing. So she didn't create this big campaign around anything else except for TrueView and video, because that's how her customers already expected the conversation to be with her. So that's the how. So that's the intro to the house. So now we're going to do a live example together in the next about 10 minutes or so. So I want to intro the brand that we're going to work on. And I need your guys' help because you're performance experts and I am not. So this is where I need your brains. So that's that. So let's bring it to life. So this is the sock page. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a business challenge together, and you guys are going to help me to make this happen. I want to do a little bit of branding, but I want to make it performance heavy. So here's my business challenge. The insight I have is that people don't buy socks when it's hot outside. That makes sense, right? Who doesn't wear socks when it's hot? It's uncomfortable, it makes you more sweaty, you want to be more loose. So what can I do as a performance advertiser to sell more socks when it's hot outside? I'm going to show you guys how to do that using signals, segmentation, and basically engaging, inviting to communicate or to engage and following up on that conversation. So if you guys want, do you guys all have a worksheet? I'm guessing yes. You can do one of 2 things. You're more than welcome to play along and fill in these worksheets as you go for your own brand, or you can just leave them blank, put them aside, just take this all in and take this back to the company with you and just do this at a later time. What I'll signal as well is you will get a digital copy of this workbook so that you can actually create a couple of different copies and just do this many times over if you feel like it's a useful exercise. And I apologize that it's a little bit cut off. Something was funky with our printer, but the PDF you will get will be perfectly centered, I promise. All right, so the first exercise, if you guys open your books, and I feel like a teacher now, I feel like Neil up here. So the first one we're going to do is collecting the signals. That's where you're going to start. Again, I'm not trying to teach you guys how to suck eggs. I just want to show you the how to the what, because you guys know what to do. I just want to bring it to life. So I want you guys as interactive as possible. I'm going to use the Android mic, but I don't feel it's necessary. I'm sure you guys got strong enough voices. Just shout it out to me. And my assistant here, Tobias, he's just going to jot it down on the screen, and then I actually have screen grabs of examples. So first things first, you guys tell me, you're the performance experts. Let's start with CRM signals. What are the best CRM signals I should consider using for my campaign? Yell it out. Anybody? Crickets. Sorry? Yeah, exactly. Existing customers. So somebody's already purchased from my website, right? Perfect. What's another CRM signal I can capture that you think is vitally important? Website visitors. Absolutely. Yeah. Actually, that might fall into analytics. What do you mean by website visitors? Just went to the home page or went to a product page? Yeah. So we'll bucket that into analytics. You're absolutely right, but we'll just put that one into analytics. So website visitors. Newsletter subscribers. Perfect. So for CRM, I want to talk to people who've subscribed to my email newsletter. Absolutely. They're engaged. I need to speak to them. Where are they? So somebody said gender. Yeah, gender. Exactly. One more for CRM.
Annual purchase frequency.
Sorry?
Annual purchase frequency.
Annual purchase frequency. Or maybe even lifetime value. Right? Great. CRM. So let's go to analytics. So what kind of analytics signals should I be capturing? Just shout it out. There's no right or wrong. Which pages? Yeah, what are the most popular landing pages? Absolutely. What else? Time, where is that coming from? I can't see. All right. Time spent on site. Exactly. So maybe I want to speak to people that have visited my site for more than 4 minutes. Right? Absolutely. What else? Affinity. Yeah, exactly. One more. Number of page visited per user. Yeah, exactly. So you guys start seeing the picture here. There's so much stuff that you can really use to your advantage to actually do branding. And I'm not telling you to get out of your comfort zones. I think you guys are still pretty comfortable. Let's talk about what... Sorry? Let's talk about what Google signals you can pick up on.
Let's say keywords. Oh, no.
Yeah. No, yeah, so competitor keywords maybe? That's a signal, right? If somebody went to Google search and typed in for happy socks, I might want to speak to them. Absolutely. So competitor keywords. Search trends, yeah. What else? What other Google signals? What about somebody used a Google map for you guys? What if somebody was engaging with location, stuff like that? Call extensions, perfect. Yeah, exactly. And what about social? What are the top 3 social signals I should be capturing? Facebook likes, perfect. Comments on stats, status, or +1s, thank you. Thank you for plugging that product. You guys do care. Actually, Google Plus is an amazing product. I actually love it. What other signals? What other social signals? What about YouTube? Shared a YouTube video, commented on a YouTube video. Tweets, yeah, reposted a tweet, retweeted, all that stuff. Instagram, same thing. I think you guys get the idea. So delivered media, actually, sorry, that's where I wanted you to put the YouTube stuff. So delivered media, so when you guys serve a media ad unit to your customers, there's going to be an action and a reaction. So you're going to want your guys to do something. If you say, here's an ad, you expect them to do what? Click. But the reaction from them might be something different. So what is your action to their reaction is the kind of story. It sounds complicated, but it's not. So if somebody sees your GDN ad, what is a signal that you can pick up from them engaging with your GDN ad? They viewed it, yeah. So if it's a hover to role play video engagement ad, you can actually see if somebody's watched that video to engage to full. If they've clicked on the GDN ad, if they did nothing, which probably doesn't mean much to people. What else? What about other products like YouTube or Google Plus posts? What else? Yeah. So I think we kind of repeated a little bit. So yeah, so we'll stop there. You guys get the idea. And the third-party data, this is where it gets really interesting. So think about it as well, is if you really want to have a conversation around something that's really important for you as a company, and again, that's going to build that brand by you inviting a conversation or inviting a moment to engage, you can actually leverage third-party data. So here's my example. I think there was like a Coors Light campaign a couple years ago that when it got over a certain degree in Ireland, Coors Light gave away a free beer. You can go to any bar or any restaurant and say, I have the Coors Light app. It's over 18 degrees. I think it was like 17 degrees because it never gets that warm in Dublin. You get a free beer. So using third-party data like weather, how could you use that to your advantage? So that's your example. What kind of third-party data do you guys think I should use as a SOC or a retailer online? Yeah, please. TV spend? Yeah? Perfect, yeah. Leverage that in. What else? When it's raining, weather, yeah, weather for sure, yeah. I'm also thinking if any of you guys are like, I saw a tire example, if you're in the automotive space and you sell car parts, what about if there's like, if you integrate with like, if you live in London, the underground, when there's a tube closure, when there's a strike, you guys can get that data in real time and then you can serve ads against that and say, are you sick of getting stuck on the subway or the tube? You know, get our tires back and, you know, get our tires and go back on the road, take control of your life. That, to me, is a branding message, and that is a branding opportunity that you guys have the right to play, and I think you guys can nail it. You just need to be conscious of how that conversation is going to go. So I think we'll stop there. I think you guys get the idea. Connor or Robin, if you can flip back to the presentation for a second, that'd be great. So I filled this out very quickly. It's a little bit of a recap, but let's go on to the next one. So now that you have your signals, you need to now start defining what your segment looks like based on those signals. So let's go back to the Gabrielle Alpin video case study you guys saw. She had two segments, hot leads and warm leads. So using the stuff that we just discussed, so all those categories like CRM, social, Google, etc., let's now pick only 4 categories and let's only pick one signal from each category to define one segment. So why don't you guys tell me what's the number one category from the previous exercise that I should focus my efforts on? Just shout it out. Sorry? I mean like a category like is a social CRM? CRM. Okay, great. So CRM. So if we can actually, sorry, we're going to play a little flipperoo here. Flip back to the wolf vision. So what's the number one CRM? It was you. What was the number one CRM signal that you recommend me to use as an advertiser? Lifetime value. Great. What's the second category you guys recommend me? Third-party data. Who said that? Where's that coming from? Sorry. And what's the number one signal from third-party data you recommend me to use? Weather. Thank you. Third category. Who's got one? Analytics. Who said that? Where's that coming from? All right. And what's the number one signal from analytics you recommend me? Page drop-offs on analytics. Perfect. And last but not least, fourth signal. Social. What's the signal? +1. Thank you. Thank you. Right. So, I told you guys my insight is people don't buy socks when it's hot outside. So, my business objective, as I told you, is sell more socks when it's hot. And this is my first segment. Is I want to speak to people that I know I have a lifetime value in my system, so maybe it's above X%, maybe, or X amount, maybe it's above $50 or more, because it's socks, they're not that expensive. I also want to speak to them when the weather is really bad or really good, depending on what the message is like. I also want to know, I want to talk to people who specifically dropped off a certain page, and then I want to talk to people who maybe had a +1 in my post. So the one thing I mentioned here is it's not doing a combination of all of these things, it's doing these OR statements. So it's 1 plus or, whatever. And the one top tip I have for you guys, because I've done this with some agencies in the UK and across Europe, is sense check every segment you do with your Google counterpart. Ask them to run a report for you, which they can do using some of our double-click stack tools to tell you if that is a sweet spot rich enough for you to play in. Because what you don't want is to create some kind of campaign around this segment and find out that's only 10 people in the world. So you need to find that it's a sweet spot enough where it's not too broad, but it's not too narrow. And again, reach out to Googlers. We can help you with that. So guys, if you can switch back to the presentation really quickly, I'm going to show you the version that I filled out. So my segment description now is I have a hot lead bucket. So I want to speak to people that watched a TrueView ad in full, spent more than 4 minutes on my website, subscribed to my email newsletter, and I want to speak to them on days when it's hotter than 20 degrees. And you'll see why this makes sense. So that's my first segment. Are you guys following me? Does that make sense? Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of nods. Good. So now that I know the signals, I've segmented those signals into a specific audience. Now what do we need? Come on. Yeah, we need an ad. We need to invite them to engage. So let's go on to the third exercise, which is this one. Yeah, you got it there. So what you're going to do if you're doing this back home at the office, if you're doing it on the airplane, or if you're doing it in the toilet, I guess in France you guys do a lot of stuff on the toilet. You can do this on the toilet as well. Is in the first bucket, all you're going to do is you're going to bring forward your segment that you just discovered in the first box. In the second box, I'm going to give you guys a prompt. So you need to design your ad autonomy here. And again, this is just a framework. You can use it fit to purpose for however you like. Take it with a grain of salt, change it, use it, abuse it, whatever. So in this box here, when you design your autonomy, the way I like to describe this is think of all of your ads as like a Mr. Potato Head. Does everybody know what Mr. Potato Head is? So if this is Mr. Potato Head's body, you get hundreds of different parts that you can plug into his body to make him unique to you. So that's what essentially you guys as performance advertisers can do with Google's technology. So within the 100 seconds or milliseconds of a search being done, you guys are going to have one general type of ad unit, but it's going to pull in different titles, different images, different call to actions within that millisecond to really tell your story to that user. So that's what we want you to start thinking of here. So I want you guys to tell me, what's an interesting way that I can use different types of titles for my campaign? Shout it out. I'll give you a prompt. What if I could play on the title for each degree that it got hotter and hotter, my title would get more extreme. And by more extreme, I would say it would get more in your face. Like, it's so freaking hot, you need to click this ad. And then, if it's 30 degrees and it's going to be like, it's crazy hot, you see what I'm saying. So we'll leave it maybe there for the title. But what kind of images are already popping into your head that I can use as an advertiser for this campaign? I see you just laughing. What are you thinking? That you? Yeah.
Socks.
Socks, yeah.
Oh,
Beautiful socks, okay. Wow. I'm sorry, are you a performance advertiser? Beers. Who said beers? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Thank you. So what else? So what other images are popping to your head? What about like cleavage? When it's hot, people take their clothes off. That's the one thing that pops into my head. How can you use that to your advantage as a brand or as a performance advertiser? What about beads of sweat as an image? When you have a face and they're sweating and they have all this sweat dripping down. So this is the kind of stuff that I'm getting after. So this is just an exercise for you guys. Sorry? Oh. So this is just an exercise for you guys to start thinking, what are those different versions of the different elements of an ad that you could start building to plug into Mr. Potato Head. And again, the good thing is that leveraging technology today is you don't have to do this manually. So this is your advantage. Traditional brand advertisers, they create these ad units custom, and then they spend half a year, maybe a year to build this ad. They release it, and then they do it again, maybe half a year to a year later. Sorry, I'm speaking really fast now. You guys, you're going to do it every single second that somebody searches an ad. So that's your one leg up. You guys are already kind of winning in that sense because you're having that feedback loop and that consistent conversation. So I'll move on to the third one, just for the sake of timing, is think about your media here. So what I want to say here is, what's the first type of ad that you're going to serve to invite them to engage? So just tell me, what do you recommend me, you performance advertisers, you beautiful people, what's the first ad I should serve them to say, hey, I want you to look at this? What type of ad? Video. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to start with maybe a TrueView ad. If that user engages with that, let's say that user watches that ad to an entirety, what's the next thing you recommend me to do to continue that conversation? Shout it out. I heard somebody say Google+. Yeah, it could be a GDN ad, it could be a search ad. I think you guys get the idea here. It's like this engagement spider web. You're going to be sequentially storytelling to this person. But my top tip again is when you invite a user to engage with any type of ad, whether it's a performance ad or a branded ad, you need to be conscious that you're not disrupting their user journey. Because remember, they're not giving you the opportunity to sell you a product at that very moment to use the internet. So figure out clever ways that you can have these starter conversations with them, and then more importantly, figure out even cleverer ways to then build that story over time. And that marries and relates really strongly back to that narrative from last year of building better brands online. Finding the right audience, telling great stories, and building relationships over time. So we'll quickly go into the last exercise, and then I will leave it up to you guys for a quick Q&A. So guys, if you could switch back to the deck really quickly. Actually, for the sake of time, I'm just going to give you the example, just because we only have about 3 or 4 minutes left. So if that was all the stuff I could start doing, here's my starter thought for my first engagement ad or my type of ad unit on a branding level. So this is what I had in my mind. So I'm going to give it a catchy title. It's Sweat Your Socks Off. So you see here, if somebody is searching online and they maybe have, remember, this ad will be shown to somebody who's been on my website for more than 4 minutes. They've engaged with my TrueView ad to completion. They have subscribed to my email newsletter, and they're actually searching online right now when it's 20 degrees or higher. So for me, that is an extremely hot lead. So I have the right to play in this space. I have the right to have this messaging to them, which is, are you sweating your socks off? And my idea, it's cheesy, take a grain of salt, is it's going to be just a really sexy leg with a sock, and it's maybe going to have a Kellen tattoo, which is fake, and it's just going to ask them to say, are you as hot as I am right now? Click on this, let's have a conversation, and then I'm going to re-engage with them with another ad unit, like a TrueView ad, or whatever ad unit, and so forth and so forth. So I think you guys get the idea, right? So is that a good example or a good framework for you guys to think about how you can start potentially getting into the branding space using your performance expertise? Give me a shake of yes or no. Yes. All right. So my top tips for you guys, actually let me just introduce you to this hipster handshake. As you guys know, within the milliseconds of somebody searching for stuff online, you have to be clever enough to serve them the right ad. So think heavily about maybe not so much being so product heavy saying, look at this sock, but more so about how hot are you right now, take your socks off. It's a branding message, but it still has that performance twist. And my top 3 tips is start small. So use the warm and hot signals or segmentation or whatever you guys want to call it. But don't get bogged down by all the complexities and the difficulties that you could potentially face when you start thinking about all the signals you can capture, because it is quite daunting. So don't get bogged down by that. Second top tip is storytelling. I'm not saying to do a story like the Van Damme splits again. I'm just saying make a story that's fit for purpose for you. So start the conversation and map out what you want that conversation to be to get them from upper top of the funnel all the way down to your bread and butter, which is lower funnel. And what's that going to look like? And last but not least, be brave. So remember I told you guys, is the one thing whenever I speak to performance advertisers, they always say we don't have the budget, or this isn't what we do, we just can't do this. I argue that yes, you can. Because you're already doing this, you're just using performance ads. You just need to be clever about what's the message and what's the invite to engage, and then keep that story going, and I promise you, you will be successful. And that is why I think you guys are going to be super successful in digital branding, and you'll be the poster boys. I think the Coca-Colas and the Unilevers will be knocking on your doors to see how you guys actually use Google data, insights, tools, etc. to make this happen. So I'll skip that. That's it for me. So thank you.
We have time for one question for Peter. Anybody after that amazingly interactive session with me as his assistant? One question about branding. Yes, sir.
Video content production is sometimes
Yeah.
expensive and it requires fun times. Do you agree with using TV ads format in YouTube or
in TrueView?
Yeah.
Highly disagree. I have a very strong stance on that, actually. So the question was, do I recommend, or do I think it's a good idea to take your TV ad format and put it onto YouTube? Is that the question? Top tip is you will fundamentally fail very fast if you do that. I promise you. I've worked with a lot of big brands, and basically it's taken us a lot of time to educate them and saying, you need to be native to the YouTube platform. Think about how you use YouTube. It's a lean-in moment. A lot of the times when people see an ad on YouTube, they're waiting to watch their next video. So the first 5 seconds is extremely important. If you don't catch their attention in the first 5 seconds, you will lose them. And most TV ads have the kind of end finale at the very end. So I won't go into too much detail, but my strong push is if you're going to do a TrueView ad, make it very bespoke to the YouTube platform and do not take your traditional TV approach and apply it to YouTube. You will fail, for sure.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Can we have a big applause for Peter? Thank you.